Hallmarks of a cult. What cults do. Cults are infamous for controlling the movements and contacts of their members. Cults will often isolate people from anyone whom they see as outsiders and dissenters and people who will pose a threat to the internal order of the cult. Therefore, many cults will actively engage in shutting people off from their friends, family and relatives and work colleagues. Anyone who might give an opinion and get the person thinking outside of the box. A cult will actively encourage the separation from of the prospective member from anyone who, due to an external influence, will create questions and question the authority of the cult. This is often where you hear of organizations and cults who extract people away from their family and brainwash them, convincing the individual that mothers, fathers, sons, daughters are actively going against them in keeping them restricted from reading material which the cult produces, not by stopping them from reading it, but by entering an alternative opinion. Why read the Bible when the organization itself has its own publications and its own translations of scriptures and its own books? Do not allow a person to read such articles and books as Pilgrim's Progress when there are perfectly good materials published by the organization itself. Do not allow a prospective member to spend long periods of time with family, friends and loved ones whom are not members of the organization, because they will get them thinking thoughts which are not compliant with that the organization. This is also reinforced when, as a threat, as what I've already mentioned in this series of videos, that when a person becomes a member of the cult, they integrate a network of support around the person and their lifestyle. So the person automatically begins to say, what will happen to me if I should leave the organization? I would lose my only level of support. There is nothing outside of the organization. All other churches are false. All other religious institutions are false. Where can I go to receive truth if I leave God's organization? That is what the cult does, and I know of many people who have experienced huge loss because they have left a cult. When a Jehovah's Witness is disfellowshipped, many who have come to know the Lord Jesus Christ and become Christians have said that even then people whom they knew for years and would have dinner with on regular occasions and sometimes even work with would cross the street whenever they saw each other on the thoroughfare. All times I've heard people such as Larry Grant, for example, from London, a former Jehovah's Witness, whose wife turned around and said, I cannot imagine living with a person who is no longer a member of the Watchtower Bible Tract Society, and she walked out. Larry gives testimony, as does many others, of husbands or wives whom have left the organisation and come home to find the house void of all furniture and the spouse and children moved on to environments which are more protective of the thought that the organisation can be in error. Cults do not just brainwash people by putting people in a sort of hypnotic state. There is that emotional tie and that emotional fear of, if you question what the organisation teaches and if you turn away from the organisation, you will lose much more than just your salvation in the time after death or after Armageddon, whatever the particular denomination believes. But you will lose all contact with your family, friends and loved ones now in this lifetime. Shunning is common practice within most cultic organizations. Anyone who accepts and then says, no, this is wrong, for no matter what reason, will face shunment. Silent Lambs, the organization in America who goes out of their way to support people who were victims of child abuse and yet were members of the Watchtower and Bible Tract Society. They have dozens of cases on their files where victims of child sexual abuse have been persecuted and disfellowshipped, far greater than that of the allegations alleged against Roman Catholic priests, where Roman Catholicism has been accused of moving priests on to other venues and other parishes, whereas the Watchtower Bible Tract Society has actually not just moved elders and congregational overseers to other venues, but indeed gone out of the way to persecute and silence the victims of their crime of child sexual abuse, and including disfellowshipment of anyone who says, no, I have been raped as a child and this is wrong. They themselves have been subject to disfellowshipment. Cults will indeed hold that as a threat over anyone who questions the authority of the organisation, and this is commonplace among all cults, be they Jehovah's Witnesses, be they the Mormons, Christadelphians, the Moonies, you name it, it is there. And this is no part of the Christian church, but that is what cults do. Emotional control and separation from family and friends, that's another hallmark of a cult. It's what cults do.